Today, I want to tell you about what is happening with the ESOL Ministry at Emmanuel United Methodist Church. I want to show you what a typical class looks like, and I want you to meet the volunteers who are the heart of the mission. I studied teaching English as a second language in grad school, and I took a break to raise my two boys from teaching in the public schools in New York City in 2014. When Pat Allen spoke to the congregation about a need for volunteers from the church to help teach the ESOL classes to the ministry, I got really excited because it's something that I've been wanting to get back into. I love teaching ESL. Now I am learning how to transfer in-person teaching into online teaching. It is not the same. We need to change and adapt. We need to learn the technology. We need to learn how to change our lessons. It is something that I've been really excited to do. The students make it all worthwhile. I believe that each of the students comes into the classroom, into this virtual space, with the need to be treated with respect. They are people with lives and experiences that need to be valued and who bring value into the classroom environment. These students should not be looked down upon or treated any differently because they are learning English or because they have an accent. Now let me introduce you to the teachers, Beth Tinsdale, Ralph Koziarski, and Gloria Bryan. So Beth, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Tell me, how did you even become involved with the ESOL work here?
Well, back in 2017, I wanted to do some volunteer work, and I knew that I wanted to do it with an underserved, underrepresented community. And I lived in Beltsville, which has a very large Latina population. And I saw that some people weren't treating my new neighbors very nicely. So I don't know where I found the initial listing, but I contacted Pat Allen, and she just helped me jump right in.
Yeah. The next question is, what has your experience been teaching with the program?
Well, I've done everything from beginners, pre-beginners, and intermediate, and without fail, I've been met with gracious teachers of, volunteers and incredibly grateful students. And, I'm just sometimes really amazed at how hardworking these students are, because so many of them are, getting up at 5 and 6 in the morning and getting their kids off to school, and then they're going to work, and then, they show up every single week for class without fail. I'm just, I'm really kind of humbled by how hard some of these students have put into not just coming to class, but the prep work that they've done beforehand and, during the week. Without fail, the students have been fabulous.
Yeah.
And I've become friends with some of them. It's just been a really rewarding experience. I'm not responding too well with teaching online, but maybe I'm getting ahead of your question.
It's a huge adjustment. It's a huge adjustment. What is your motivation to even teach ESL in the first place?
I spent 8 years training employees, and I really like being in a classroom. I like the challenge of having to change things up based on either blank looks or, enthusiastic response.
Yeah.
And first time I had any contact with ESL was in 1965, when my mother, as part of her church work, took me to meet the migrants who were coming through and working in our farm community. And I saw how they lived, and I saw how people treated them, and I saw how angry my mom got, and that just has always stayed with me.
I'm going to move on to you, Ralph. What was your experience pre-pandemic with the ESOL mission?
I met Beth early 2020.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mhm.
When she posted an ad, or somebody from ESOL posted an ad on Facebook looking for volunteers to help out, and it's something I've always wanted to do. I met Beth, and I'm like, oh, okay, this person's really cool, and I want to be part of this program. So, and I came in as sort of a backup teacher for one of the other women who were teaching an intro class, and I think we managed to get through about maybe 6 or 7 classes before shutdown.
How has it been now that we're teaching online?
Hard. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like it. I find it very difficult, and it's hard to, like Beth was saying earlier. Part of good teaching, effective teaching, is being able to read the crowd, and it's very hard to do it online. And I'm gonna keep doing it because I think what we do is important. But I am very eagerly waiting for the day when we could go back and do it in class in person.
So what is your motivation to teach ESL or ESOL?
A couple things. One, so I'm a product of an ESL program. I was pretty little when I came to the States with my family from Poland. So I was lucky in that my brain was still very plastic, and it was pretty easy for me to pick up English. When I had this great nun, Sister Camilla, who took extra time out of her schedule and everything to teach me. And on the one hand, it's sort of paying it forward. On the other hand, it is kind of to what Beth was saying about how our immigrant neighbors are not treated very well sometimes. And it's not to sound like too philosophical or anything about it, but we all kind of talk about being allies to minority groups and to groups who are sort of treated not as well as others. But I that's one thing to talk about it, but I actually wanted to do something, and I figured I could teach. I have some experience teaching college courses, and so why not? This is how I can actually help and be effective and make some friends in the process. And I've got to meet some really nice people, and I want to keep being able to help them and let them adjust to their new lives here. They made a incredibly difficult decision coming here. This is not people don't come here because just they want to. It's because they have to. And so whatever I can do to make their lives here just a little bit better, a little bit easier, I'm more than happy to do it.
Really, all you need to be an effective ESL teacher is patience, kindness, and empathy.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to be good at English. I don't think you have to be good at teaching. I just think you have to be willing to show up. And, we could handle more students if we had more teachers. Once we get the system in place, but we're still figuring all of this out.
What was your experience teaching with the ESOL Ministry before the pandemic?
Okay, so I guess I was teaching the year that I would say about a year, maybe. I guess the first year I taught, I co-taught with Beth.
Yeah.
And then the second year I taught with you. Did we do a whole year? I don't think we did. I think we did a half year.
We had like 6
pandemic
sessions or so, and then
I think so. And the pandemic struck. Yeah. So, and I loved both of the opportunities. I am a retired ESL trained person myself, and it's teaching has always been my first love. I retired from the Prince George's County school system after a 40-year stint, and when I was as a retired person, I still have a ton of energy, a ton of love for what I do, and I knew that this would be a perfect fit for me to be able to continue sharing my love of teaching English to the immigrant population. And so I was very happy to do it. And I was just thrilled at the opportunity to have it. Now, I have known about your program for many, many years. I'm a Beltsville resident of, 1,000 years. And I've taught over at High Point High School, the ESL population there for many years. And then I was a Girl Scout leader at your church for many years. So I knew all about how wonderful your church is and how generous your church is. And I knew about the ESL population being served by this wonderful ministry.
How has your experience been teaching virtually with us post-pandemic?
Dealing with the technology, I think, was, was a challenge. I was very impressed with the students who joined us as we practiced trying to make this work. Again, just another affirmation for me of the wonders of these adults that are around us, these immigrant adults around us who are very passionate about learning English and are very just dedicated people. I just think one step at a time.
Yeah.
I'm very positive about it.
Yeah.
I don't expect, Rome to be built in a day, as they say. And this is a very new, innovative opportunity that Dela, you created, and you took this idea and just took it, by the horn, so to speak, and with your positive energy and your intellect, all the above, I think it's going to happen.
What is your motivation to teach ESL, to teach English as another language?
I'm Puerto Rican, brought up bilingually in our family. My parents worked very hard. We come from poverty was the name of the game for my parents. My father joined the army, way back when, and the main point was for him, he wanted to do more for his family.
Yeah.
And he wanted to take us out of poverty. I have lots of memories of him, and I think my mother has kind of verified this for me now as an adult, as I think back and talk to her about it, of him coming home very, very disappointed because he's a very smart, dedicated person, serious worker, but he would come home feeling a little rejected because of his Puerto Ricanism, okay? Because of the skin, because of the racism that is involved in all that, as I think about it.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not being negative, because I think given the time and the era, when he was a part of the military, I think it was because he was in the military that we are where we are. I got myself certified as an ESL teacher mid-career, and then became an ESL teacher in the Prince George's County schools, and loved it. Became a certified counselor through the Johns Hopkins program. I have a broad experience, but then when I retired, that's where I said, what's my first love? My first love was teaching adults.
Yeah.
And this is where I am. It's like my home.
Yeah, it's your
home. That makes any sense.
It makes for me, who also just loves working with people from all over the world who speak different languages, and just it's the same. You're speaking my language.